Hello and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming, coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world. This is The Established Facts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 114 of The Established Facts. We hope that you have had a wonderful holiday season.
Happy New Year.
That you had a great Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. I think that's Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus?
Yeah, right?
Yule.
Yes.
Saturnalia.
Yule. Yeah, that's true.
Yule. We hope that you have enjoyed kind of our holiday break on episodes, as far as we did a really fun interview episode with Peter Spellos and some of the Indie PopCon guys. We did a year-end review episode. We've done... What else have we done, Joshy? Do you remember?
Holiday, year-end interviews.
Okay, holiday was the one that I was missing. I couldn't remember. I don't know why I couldn't remember. Just go with it. However, we have had a really good time kind of breaking some things down as far as personalities as player... Oh, get out of here. Player... sorry. And GM and people like that kind of looking at their personalities, and I'm being extremely distracted by the two ladies sitting to my right and left. So let's go ahead and introduce everyone who's at the table, starting to my right.
To your right is Dr. Deb.
This is Josh.
This is Ragaar AKA Jeremy.
This is Alan.
Hey guys, this is Derek.
Hey, this is Kari Woo.
And this, of course, is your host, Big Don. We are continuing with our Myers-Briggs examination using the Keirsey temperaments. And tonight, I guess, today, whenever you're listening to this episode, it could be morning, I don't know. We are discussing the MBTI personality of the NT, which is the intellectual or the rational. So, Debbie, why don't you go ahead and kind of give us an intro on some information about rationals?
So the rationals are the intuitive thinkers. So it's that pairing. So there are four within that, of course. All the others had four, too. There is the INTJ, ENTJ, INTP, and the ENTP.
Oh, so many letters.
I know.
Right.
It is alphabet soup. So, a quick view of a rational. This is from the Keirsey.com website, if you want to look at it. Rationals are the problem-solving temperament, particularly if the problem has to do with the many complex systems that make up the world around us. Rationals usually share the following characteristics. They tend to be pragmatic, skeptical, self-contained, and they are focused on problem-solving and systems analysis. They pride themselves on being ingenious, independent, and strong-willed. Rationals make reasonable mates, individualizing parents, and strategic leaders. They also tend to be even-tempered, they trust logic, yearn for achievement, seek knowledge, prize technology, and dream of understanding how the world works. So I was looking... Yes.
To all of that. I'm married to an NT.
Uh-huh. I have two NTs as brothers.
I was having fun watching Derek nodding as you were going through that.
Uh-huh.
I was going to give you some quotes from some famous rationals because I think these quotes are hilarious because they are so accurate to every NT that I know. I have taken all of knowledge for my province. Knowledge is power. Francis Bacon.
Oh, Bacon.
Error of opinion may be tolerated where reason is left free to combat it. Thomas Jefferson. Never express yourself more clearly than you think. Niels Bohr. And my favorite has to be Albert Einstein's. To me, it suffices to wonder at these secrets and to attempt humbly to grasp with my mind a mere image of the lofty structure of all that there is.
I don't even know what you just said.
Exactly, but that would be Albert Einstein, who is the same personality as my brother Chris, by the way, who is an NT, and Kari's husband Tim, who is my brother, who's an NT. And I drift toward NT myself, so I kind of,
My brother's an NT.
He is.
Josh?
He is. He is an ENTP. He's not with us today. Sniff. So some famous rationals, just to give you kind of an idea when you think about these people where they tend to make their mark. You see the most of them in science, education. You see also them in politics, government, and military because of their ability to be strategic thinkers. So some famous politics, government folks. You have Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Dwight Eisenhower, Ulysses S. Grant, Douglas MacArthur, George Marshall, Peter the Great, Margaret Thatcher, Golda Meir, Hillary Clinton.
You have gold in your ear?
Yes. Golda Meir is the only female prime minister of Israel, but I wish I had Golda Meir. Napoleon Bonaparte and William Tecumseh Sherman were all considered to be rationals. Now, on your science part, because here's another one of your great thinker thought processes, most of your great thinkers were NTs, if you look at them. Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Stephen Hawking, Richard Feynman, who was a very famous physicist, Nikola Tesla, Charles Darwin.
My husband loves.
Yes, Tesla. Yes. Benjamin Franklin, Carl Sagan, Marie Curie,
Carl Sagan,
Booker T. Washington, and Aristotle were all thought to be rationals.
There was one woman on that whole list.
Correct. But she did win a Nobel Prize. Just saying. I will also throw some of these in because they are in business and they are also in arts and entertainment, but it's very interesting when you look at them and go, that makes sense. So business, Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, are all considered to be, and you can kind of see that when you think about how they handle their business. And last of all, arts and entertainment. I found some of these fascinating. Walt Disney was thought to be irrational. Didn't do too bad for himself. Mark Twain was thought to be irrational. Gregory Peck, that actor, he was actually thought to be irrational. I'm like, really? But then I think of To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I can see that. George Bernard Shaw, Isaac Asimov, Steve Allen, they're all thought to be intuitive thinkers.
Okay, the intuitive thinkers. So we actually have a couple intuitive thinkers on the podcast. Ragaar is, what is your personality?
INTJ.
And Derek?
INTJ.
Right, so we're all going to die.
Yes,
We have
are.
two masterminds.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
The mastermind, the strategist.
No, just mastermind.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because they know very well what they are.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think another name for it, for the 16 personalities, is the architect as well.
Correct. Yes, there is that component to it.
You identify more with that one then?
Yeah, I'm the architect and you're the mastermind. I think that works.
Yes.
Because then we both have one of each.
That totally wasn't what happened in our Star Wars campaign.
Well, no.
That's true.
I wasn't really mastermind, more like chaotic energy.
Yes.
So
true. And then my brother Chris is an INTP, which I've seen as several. I've seen that one called the architect, but that's not really accurate because he couldn't stay focused on one project long enough to build one. So INTP, maybe the absent-minded professor, the guy thinking the brilliant thoughts in the corner. Sherlock, if you like that TV show, I think is an INTP.
Debbie, did you say that one of the famous people that you have on there is Mark Twain?
Yes, they thought that he was irrational.
Okay, because I have on a different Myers-Briggs Kiersey temperament website him as an ENFP.
And people argue whether he was more a thinker or a feeler, depending on what book you read and what you know about him.
Is it ENTP? Is that what he's under?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And they weren't sure. They think he might have been close on the T and the F. Which, speaking of T and F...
Oh, yeah, that is our versus topic. Thank you for hosting our show.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Totally
wow,
glad you're paying
everybody
attention.
but you are
I'm
doing
that's why it keeps me around.
They'd
segues.
fire me if we actually made any money with this.
Actually, I think that just shows how good of a leader you are.
That I can
empowers his
entrust
people.
Each. That's right. I
And we are
am
empowered
Well, I am
to
the inspirer, if you will.
Shut up, mastermind.
I loved it.
Well played.
See, the way that Jeremy and I work is he gives me all the ideas, and I just make them look really good.
Give in to your hatred, Demaree.
Give in to the dark side.
Thank you, Palpatine.
Strike me down.
We have cookies.
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so our versus topic for episode 114 with the Rationals is thinker versus feeler. So as we've been doing, we're going to go around the table, especially now that we've all retaken the test and most of us have redefined what we really are in life. We'll go ahead and start with Debbie, and we'll go around the table and just go ahead and give us whether you are a thinker or a feeler, and then we'll kind of talk about the differences between the two. So, Deb.
Thinker.
Josh.
Feeler.
I'm the artist.
Oh,
That's about the most opposite thing I can think of on the planet from
Ragaar.
Ragaar, actually.
Mastermind.
That's right, T.
Yes.
I'm a thinker.
That's right.
I'm the symbol.
Symbol.
The caregiver.
I'm an Aquarius.
I'm a thinker.
Okay.
And I'm a feeler.
And I am also a feeler. So we got 3 feelers and 4 thinkers at the table. So this should be a decent number of people to kind of weigh one over the other. So I guess the first... I don't know. I'm a feeler, so I can't figure out who should do this. Thinker, help me out. All at once. All right, yeah.
Well, Alan just had his mind.
That's true.
I know,
That's
right?
true.
I went from
We'll
feeler
start.
to thinker in 12 minutes.
We'll,
I don't know. I don't even know what to think or feel about that.
that's right. So Alan
I have to say,
originally,
Kari and I thought he was an ESTP.
Yeah.
He looked at me and goes, I'm an ESFP. And I was like, Kari and I are thinking you're a TP. And of course, that put doubt in his mind. So he's starting to take the test again. And so he's taking it right
So
before.
apparently I'm a thinker now, and I'm like, oh, wait, I
Yeah,
better check this.
Wait, I better
Right.
check this. So
That's
then
why
he
you're
shows
emotionless.
and he
This is
showed
garbage.
cold,
So tell
cold and
us.
calculating.
So
I
Deb
apologize.
and
Sorry,
Kari
not
just
emotionless, just
TP'd
cold and calculating.
Alan?
Yes.
Yes, we just totally TP'd Alan.
Yeah.
right.
TP'd me. Hardcore.
Wow.
Phrasing.
Wow.
Because-
Phrasing.
Because really, a thinking perceiver can look like a judger.
Correct.
And
I was feeling pretty judgy. I was wondering why I wasn't so judgmental on paper.
Yeah. That's true. So, Alan, how's it
Hi.
feel to go from a feeler to a thinker?
Let me think about it.
Okay.
oh,
you
you're
do that.
funny. Okay, so normally I'm the one who does this.
Yes.
So I'll take
What?
it over.
Oh, host it? Go for it.
Explains the versus topic.
Oh,
what
sure.
we're actually
Go ahead.
talking about.
Yeah. So feelers, they decide based on their feelings. Hence why they're feelers. And thinkers make decisions objectively. So I'll put my personal life here. So say I want to buy something and my husband's like going through this list for me of all the things that might go wrong with the thing that I want to buy just because I feel like buying it. So that is a thinker versus a feeler.
That would be my husband versus me.
See, and I love the analogy that you gave because it reminds me of every conversation I've had with any of my friends who are not feelers. Because the way that I usually define it is, if you are a feeler, you decide, I really feel like going to this restaurant tonight. And then you get there and you go, is this really what I want?
And that drives me
And as a thinker, we go, no, we're going to Steak and Shake tonight. And you get there and you're going, Steak and Shake.
Exactly.
And I'm going, do I really want Steak and Shake or do I
Yes,
want to
you
go
do.
across the street to Ruby Tuesday?
Or is that your pee going? 47 equal possibilities.
No, because it's all based on how do I really feel about what I'm
I
getting
see.
ready to eat.
I see.
But see, I do that. But I what I do is I go, okay, well, that sounds great. Do I really want that? Maybe I want that. Maybe I want that. I'll go to all 3 places, get something, and put it together as one item.
Okay, well, that's the P in you.
efficient.
That's the P in you because of what you just said. Efficient. That's the P in you.
That
You're
is
like,
it.
you're like, I need carbs, so I'm going to go and get this, and I need protein in my diet, so I'm going to go in and get this, and I really, really, really want a caffeine-free Diet Coke, and the only place that has it is this place over here. So I'm going to go get all 3 of those. Me, I'm going, God, I'd really love some ice cream. Do I really want ice cream, though, or maybe I just want cake? I don't really know what I want.
when we
What
talk.
do I feel like? Let's go to Hobby Lobby.
Maybe a mole would cover both of these. Oh wait, no, that's a thinker coming into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, the way that I have to think about when I interact, especially with feelers, is okay, how can I say this so I don't hurt their feelings?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly it.
And then you forget not to hurt their feelings, and
Yes.
you hurt their feelings on accident.
Or
And you're like,
you-
I didn't mean to do
You
that.
purposefully go through trying to think out what you say, and you still come across as
Correct.
Exactly.
cold.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, it's
Well,
there's-
feelers, they avoid arguments and conflicts, and thinkers
Why
argue
aren't we
or
dealing-
debate issues for fun.
Yes.
That is the big difference.
Why are
Yes.
we
This
not
has been
dealing
me
with
all
this?
along.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a problem. We
Let's
need to
deal with
fix
it now. Let's
Are you
fix
kidding
it.
me? Try being married in that situation. I know Tim and Kari deal with it all the time. Deb and
All
I
the
just dealt with
time.
it this morning.
Yeah.
I don't have to,
We had
I don't have
breakfast.
to deal with it. My wife is an F. Right, we're both FPs, so
You got your own issues.
that's
but
right. She says everything out loud, and I go, "Oh, I don't like that idea."
That's your N and S.
Internally. Why does your face look like that? I don't know.
I need some ice
Love
cream.
you. That's not the answer to the question, Don. I'm going to the bathroom.
I'm running into a different issue now because with Dan
Yeah.
because I have all these inner monologues. So I think I really think about what I say to people. So I've already thought that I've already said it out loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Oh, gosh.
That's your
So,
in.
yeah.
That's your in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Josh does it all the
that
time and
happens to
doesn't
me
know he does
all
it all the time.
all
I've
the
gotten
time.
really good about that, but I'm not sure how I trained myself to do that.
when you figure that out, please let me know.
See, it's
Note
the opposite
to
for me.
self.
I say it, and then I think, oh my God, did that really... I just said that. Okay, well, I said it. I'm standing by.
Right.
You know what? I said it.
So, my question for the thinkers at the table, when and Derek kind of brought this up, when you're dealing with people who are feelers, you know, let's just put the versus topic to test. When you're dealing with people who are feelers, how or what approach do you take in order to kind of masterminds, manipulate the situation so that you get exactly the result that you want out of it?
We dictate.
Actually, I never dictated.
Really?
Really.
Because, like, if I were to interact with... Okay, let's go to a gaming situation, because this is sort of a
Sure.
gaming podcast. We'll
Yes.
just sort of fake
Occasionally.
it.
We used to be.
Yes, we did. Now we're psychological analysis, apparently.
When you're running as a GM,
Mm-hmm.
and we were in the town with the zombies.
Okay.
The way that I handle like the whole like feely thing where you're not, where I feel it's very aimless, is I will blow something up.
Sure.
That's what I did with Chupa. That's what I did with the cat person. I will literally try to make something happen so that we can move the story along.
Right.
It's the same way that I handle interacting with people is if they're talking about, let's say they're deciding on where to eat out for a restaurant. At some point I will say, hey, let's do this.
I've seen this in real life.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. All of a sudden, Derek's just like, poof, out of nowhere, I have a decision, we're doing this thing.
Yes.
And I'm like,
And
whoa.
usually everyone's like, okay. Occasionally, probably another NT goes, I'm not sure that's the smartest decision based upon these logical reasons. They'll do like the reasoning thing.
Right. And
But
then I'll be
usually
like,
the feelers are like, okay, cool. And then
we will debate it amongst ourselves. As,
correct.
okay.
And the feelers over there in the corner are like, have you decided yet? And then we're doing the back and forth.
I'm guessing this is because I'm a little special as far as INTs.
Yes, you are
You
special.
are special, Jeremy.
And I'm not sure. Maybe if it's the ambivert aspect of me, like I can fish around a little bit in the extrovert area or something. Maybe that's where I'm pulling this from.
Could be.
But I actually go through and try to do some measure of consensus building.
Okay.
And usually what happens is I'll kind of listen to people as they say what their ideas are, and I'm like, okay, this idea is really the best idea. And so I start going through and working through with, the group and saying, this is why this is the best idea. But I let somebody else bring it to the table first.
So-
Or at least I try to.
So, in a situation where you're faced with, let's say you have a split house, some people want to go and have dinner, some people want to stay and play games. But everyone needs to eat at some point, and everybody wants to play games.
That's exactly the argument I was sitting in my head. I was like, well, everybody has to eat at some point. Let's
Right.
just go eat.
So,
Oh, I've seen you do that. Yeah.
so
that's,
what I would do in a situation like that, being the F, versus the T is I want to know how everybody feels about gaming versus eating first.
Oh, that's not important.
And then,
It
right,
really is.
Exactly.
that's what I was
I did
getting
the
ready to
same
say. Because for me, it's all about the emotional composition of the room. How does everybody feel? Are we going to sit down and play a game and realize that the people who haven't eaten are going to be grumpy and don't actually want to play, and so nobody's going to have a good time, so it's a better idea for all of us to go and eat now? Or are we all chill enough to sit down and play a game of apples to apples or flux, and then when we're done with that, we can go and get some food, and we're all still having a good time?
Yeah. See,
Versus-
mentally, what I was putting in my head is, okay, we're looking at time slices.
Right.
How much time are we dedicating
Yep.
to eating?
Exactly.
If
I did the
we
same
go
thing.
and eat now, then people are going to be motivated to not eat for a very long time.
Right.
So after that's done, we'll be able to game for a longer duration.
Right.
And so we can, look at whatever games can fit into that time slice or multiple games in that time slice.
Or we can be more efficient and eat and play at the same time. So we could have a couple people go out if we're going to pick up food.
And this is where Derek picks up his notes and rips them, and we just...
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, that's kind of it in practicum, and seeing the difference between an F and a T, looking at the logical broken down versus looking at the emotional broken down.
Essentially, I like to think of that kind of stuff as like a false dichotomy. It's like, we have to do this or this. It's
Yes.
like, why can't we do both?
Yeah, we can
Right.
be efficient in this.
Debbie.
I do want to say, as a thinker, that I want to say out there to all of you feelers who are married to a thinker or have a sibling who's a thinker, that for the most part, there are exceptions, but for the most part, when something comes out of a thinker's mouth and you as a feeler are just like, oh, I can't believe they said that, I want you to know that it is very rarely said from a thinker that we mean to hurt your feelings. We were not saying that to hurt your feelings. We really didn't. We were breaking it down, the most logical, objective, efficient. We want the best decision possible for you, especially if you're a loved one or someone we care about. We want it to be the best possible thing, and we are trying to say the truth in the simplest, most direct way possible to get that.
We are your Spock to your Kirk.
Correct.
That is correct.
That is exactly right.
And there is
And your Bones, because Bones was
That's
mostly-
true. There is also a tendency, especially if you're going to T and F, like
Yes.
if in a relationship, to the point where the T's will, wow.
Well, goodness.
We're gonna rock
Music.
it out.
Now for
That's
this
what
commercial
we're gonna
break.
do. Rock it out.
Thanks,
I
Al.
think we have the rights to play that song.
I don't even know what it was. I just heard noise.
Anyway, so there is a tendency for thinkers to get, how do I put it, to get stopped in what they're saying. So not be able to speak because they're concerned that what they're going to say is going to
Yes.
hurt people.
Correct.
So I tend to be a lot more quiet because I'm like, okay, if I say this, and then am I going to hurt their feelings?
Right. But then
So
if
I
you
better
have
just shut
people,
up.
right? Then you have people who are like, "No, say the truth. Say what you think," and you're like, I don't
Are
think
you really,
want me
really
to.
ready for that?
And then because
That's
Josh
like
does it all
every
the time.
conversation
Yeah.
with Derek and I involved in the
Right,
conversation.
right.
Yeah.
Where I look at him, I'm just like, okay, I know you want to say something. Just say it.
And he's going, "Okay, I don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to hurt her feelings."
Bracing myself in. I can take it.
Something.
This is
that
my
I think
husband and
is
I. You need to tell me the
interesting.
truth. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want. You can't handle the truth. Sorry. I mean, that's what it feels like sometimes. And then I'm like, okay, here goes. And then he or when a feeler looks at me and goes, you are so upset about, you're really upset about this. And I'm like, I'm not upset. I'm not upset at all. Why? I think the feeler gets upset, and this has happened to me with several people who are feelers. They're upset, and they think I'm upset. I'm actually usually not. When I'm upset, I'm upset. When you get a thinker upset, it's usually really not good.
It really isn't.
It usually turns into a huge
People
mess.
die.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Now, Alan over there is just like, I have no idea what you're talking about because I never get upset about
Well,
anything.
No, I was going to expound a little bit on that point. I
Okay.
think the funny differences are, obviously thinkers break everything down logically. Whether in the situation that Jeremy and I just talked about, whether it's time slices for dinner and gaming, feelers are worried about emotional content. What I think is funny though
Same
is
outcome.
because feelers are constantly connected with their emotional sense, they might have a wider range of emotion, but they can deal with a wider range of emotion. Whereas when a thinker it finally gets to that point where they're feeling emotions tip the scale, it's like flipping on.
There's a switch.
Yeah, it's like, you know, going to a rock show and seeing pyro everywhere. It's like all of a sudden your T turns into an F and you just get out of the room.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
that goes into what I was wanting to comment about is thinkers have a difficulty being able to pull back some of their punches.
Correct.
But when a thinker is on the other side of that and receiving those
Yeah.
punches, it can also be just as painful as
Yes.
if it was a feeler.
Right.
Yes.
And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
you know, we
Right.
have a tendency of dishing it out, but that doesn't mean we can take it.
It's tough to understand, and it's really the Spock thing. It really is, because it's tough to understand the feelings part of it.
Yeah.
Just talking personally, because I either am very disassociated with my feelings,
Right.
or I have overloaded.
You're full bore.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Same
All right,
here.
let's talk to the extroverted thinker over there who's not saying anything.
I am just letting this happen. I'm not a part of it.
No, you're
No, what's
still
funny
you're
is
still trying,
you and Deb are the only S's at the table, and you're the more extroverted one.
and you're
Correct.
still trying to process the fact that you're now a thinker and not a feeler, and you weren't
Yeah.
aware.
No, I'm sitting there going, how did I ever test as a feeler? Because honestly, I look at feelers a lot of times and I'm going, you can see this, right? Like, you feel this, I understand.
You have an advantage because the feeler that you grew up with was me, and I'm not the same kind of. I'm special, like Jeremy.
You don't go, I don't feel like you jump to the deep end.
Right.
And a lot of feelers are like, bleh.
I have a lot of
You're going,
emotional control.
Pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Pull it back.
Right.
You can
Calm it down.
physically see this, right?
Right
You see how
there.
this works. You see the progression. Okay, let's dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do agree with what you're saying, though. I'm pretty even keel, even probably cold and dead inside. Most people would say.
You're cool and reserved, like thinkers.
But
Cool and reserved tend
when
to
I
be
am
thinkers.
angry, when I finally tip that scale to angry, I would much rather that person just not exist
Yeah.
at that point. You know,
So would they.
and I will make sure they understand that I wish they would not exist.
Yeah.
Usually shortly before the pillow goes in their face.
Yeah.
But the other way, when I truly care about someone and I'm passionate about somebody like that, it tips the opposite way too. I'm not iffy,
Right.
but most of my life I'm iffy.
So, it's funny because listening, Don, you've done a fantastic job defending the feeler organization too.
Right.
And you've done nothing, Josh.
No, because
There's your finger. Just let
I
you
know
have
that.
it.
That's why I'm stepping
Is that a
out saying
judgmental
something
thinker?
because Kari is defending as well, but Don is almost acting as if he's on trial when it comes to being a feeler sometimes. So
He is.
I'm always on trial.
it's
But
okay.
you're special.
I am.
There's one. There is a one that I know gets me both in trouble and is a blessing. So it's a blessing and curse in itself. Being a feeler,
Thanks, Mom.
a lot of feelers are forgivers, and we forgive over and over and over and over and over. I have a few friends that have been forgiven more times than I know how to count, and whatever be religious, personal, whatever. I know it has a lot to do with the personality, but then again, when you have a wife who reaches a point of no return, I can forgive. It doesn't mean you can come around anymore.
I can
forgive you.
She ain't forgot.
I don't think that is exclusively to feelers, though.
Yeah.
Because I can forgive people because I can rationally understand what's going on
Exactly.
behind their actions. But there is a turning point for me where
Sure.
I will say, that's it, we're done.
Which is funny because I don't necessarily understand why some people are being the way they are, and yet I still feel I need to forgive them.
I'm wondering if that's like an NJ combination.
And maybe.
See, I don't know, because the problem is I tend to think about it and rationalize it,
Right.
and then I explain to them why they're being this way.
That's
and
because you're an
typically,
S.
feelers don't typically like that. You're like,
I know,
look, I
I've
completely
tried.
understand because stereotypically it works this way,
Right.
and then that works that way, and I could see being put in this position, you would
Right.
feel this way, and you would expound upon that. And then they're like, how are you going to tell me how I feel? No.
No. I never told you how you feel.
You've already
Exactly.
told me how you felt. I'm
Right.
telling you why you feel that way.
Right.
And you know what?
Must be an S
I
thing.
will accept you.
whatever you are eventually. Have to think about it, but we'll get there.
Now that I've put you in this criteria, I can now.
I can sort of deal with you now that I know where you're at.
And then I'm the nurturer, and I was like, I want everybody to like each other and love each other and don't fight and no arguing.
Nurturing.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but without arguments, then you don't fix
without
anything.
us nurturers,
Exactly. The
you wouldn't have
Spartans
your
had it right. Throw
your
them off the
doctors,
cliff.
your nurses, your teachers.
Ask
your
my child.
Your psychologist, your counselors, your
Right.
yeah, sure.
My poor child. Oh God.
Somebody's gonna want harmony in the world. Can't be run by TJs. Sorry. Everybody die. Anybody opposed to me dies.
What can't be run?
The world can't be run by INTJs.
Yeah, they can. It'd be the most efficient world ever.
Well, totally.
There would be no.
You're blonde. You have
compassion.
recessive genes. We don't need
I've got
those.
compassion. I
You're
can
right.
fake it.
You do. Well,
Haven't you seen the Divergent series?
yeah, I heard it was
I have.
horrible.
That's because it wasn't being led by the smart people.
So,
Yes.
right. So talking about NTJs and NTs in general, our discussion.
No egos.
That's right. Our discussion for this episode is on the intellectual, the rational, the NT, the intuitive thinker.
Correct.
What's the statue called, Alan? The thinking man.
The
Yes.
thinking man.
The thinking
Yeah,
man.
look at the art guy. Right?
Yeah.
Put me on the spot.
Right. Well, sorry. You know,
That's that guy.
Art history. I slept through that class because it wasn't mine.
That's
And I
right
slept.
here.
I slept through the other half while you took my notes.
yeah.
Haven't
Appreciate
you watched
that.
Mr. Wizard growing up? He goes,
I thought he was just called the
I have
Thinker.
it. Mr. Wizard.
Okay.
It's the thinker.
No, I watched Captain Kangaroo because it made me feel good. So the intellectual is I don't know, really. Derek,
Here, allow me to help
Ragaar,
here.
yeah, help me out here.
All right, so
Host this podcast for me, doggone it.
no problem. In working with problems, they are
There we
a
go.
problem-solving group. All four of them, in their own way. They try to find solutions that have an application in the real world, but they are actually really interested in abstract concepts, which probably confuses the daylights out of people who are more concrete. But they love the concepts, fundamental principles, natural laws that underlie things, and they are completely pragmatic about their ways and means of achieving their ends. They don't care about being politically correct.
No, they don't.
people don't make sense.
They are
No, they
interested in the most efficient solutions possible.
Robots make sense.
Efficient solutions. If you're dealing with an NT, efficient solution, you will already be much closer to their heart with just that. They will listen. They will usually listen to anyone who has something useful to teach them, while at the same time disregarding any authority or customary procedure that wastes time and resources.
Actually,
Oh, yes, that.
that right there is probably the best description that you're going to get.
Yes.
So when you're focused on a task, you are essentially 100% focused. If somebody else wants to come over and start interacting with me, interact with me through that.
Yes.
When when I deal with when I'm at work and I am told that I've got 3 projects at the same time, I can't do anything. I have to focus on one project to get it done.
Yes.
I
And-
think that purely just has to be with being a guy.
No.
No,
Just kidding.
I'm a scrambler.
I'm
Run
not.
everywhere.
Oh,
Yeah, no. I need,
No.
and I drift to NT. I'm actually ST, but sensing is my lowest of all of them. They're usually only about a 15 to 20% sensing. I can drift into intuitive. And I'm
That may
a
be.
similar way. So I think it's give me this project and I'm lost in this project. And then somebody comes over and taps me on the shoulder and starts to talk to me about something else. I am mad as a hornet. I'm like, what are you doing? I was doing something. Why are you bothering me?
See, I
Is
think
the world ending? Are you dying? Are you bleeding? Is my child dying or bleeding? Okay, I didn't think so.
I've got
Leave me
an
alone.
image I need to share with you of somebody who has something like that taped on their back saying,
Yes.
"Don't bother me unless it's a case of a fire."
Right, exactly.
And something about dolphins are amphibians or
Yeah. Something
along
like
those
that
lines.
sounds like an NT.
Deb. So, talking on the efficiency thing.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! If a process is not efficient, I go through the roof.
Yes, it's like why are we wasting all of this time, this effort, this money, this
Yes.
people, whatever? Yeah. No, I understand.
Are you the same
that.
way, Judge? Yeah.
I'm an
Yes.
SF, so I don't understand this at all.
listening closely, this may give you a little glimpse into your husband's brain.
One of the
Why
biggest...
does he come over when I'm doing something and I'm focused on something and it's like, oh, let's talk about this other thing that you're not doing right now?
Because in his mind, he's already had a 15-minute conversation
Yes.
with himself about it.
Yeah.
He's thought through the 17 different things on the checklist.
Yep.
And he wants to talk to you about the 4 things he's not sure about, so he can't quite, this might be different. Let me talk to her about it right now, because I've been thinking about it for 20 minutes.
You're coming into like the end of a 15-minute conversation in his head.
Yes.
I've quite literally had simulation conversations in my head of,
Yep.
in the event that I approach somebody and start talking to them, what is their response going to be? Okay, when they respond,
I can do
what,
that sometimes.
What is my counter response? Okay, I don't like that path. Let's go down this other path.
Yep.
Maybe if I talk to Joe instead of Frank first, what happens there?
See, I'm an NF, but I do similar things as well. I think that might be the intuitive side, just trying to process. But maybe it's not necessarily... Maybe it's about the result. Maybe you guys are trying to think through to find the result of the conversation, whereas I'm trying to think through how the conversation is going to affect that other person.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care how it affects the person.
Well, no, I don't really either.
I do.
But it's also...
I do.
I mean,
Yeah, I know Kari does.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say we do, as far as it comes back to, okay, is this going to throw a wrench in anything else?
We want a good result at the end. So if you're falling into weepy
in
tears...
games, when that happens, like when
Yeah.
it doesn't result in how you wanted it to result in, what do you
I'm
do?
going to be kicking myself the
Yes.
the rest of the day.
Yes,
like,
me too.
oh, why did I say that?
I shouldn't...
Yes. In games, you guys have thrown wrenches and...
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
and
We're
so
trying to
it
turn-
flabbergasted
We're
me.
trying to turn you into a pea.
You
That's
are.
what we're trying to do.
I've
We're like, we
actually
know that he
gotten
has
into
this
the
really
habit.
great linear storyline, but nah, forget that. We just want to do what we want to do, and we're going to see how Derek
Hey,
reacts to
leave
that.
the linearity to me.
Yeah.
I've gotten
Module
into the
man
habit
over there.
of coming back around to somebody after that happens. I'm like, I need to get this off my chest. I apologize for such and such. I don't know if you took it this way, but this is how I felt about it, and I want to make sure that this is not going to cause any issues in the future.
Since we are a gaming podcast, I just wonder if that is an issue. I can see that being a big issue for if you have a bunch of NTs playing
And
a
new
game.
players.
And then if you have a GM who's a feeler,
Oh man.
or a feeler, perceiver not so much, but a feeler or an S feeler, so like a Kari, trying to run a game for a bunch of NTs.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, right. See, it could end really badly. And this is the reason, even though the game may be phenomenal, but it may be a bunch of touchy-feely, you're helping people, you're making their lives better, but it's a very straightforward story. And I can imagine NTs being
Yes.
bored out of their mind.
It's a min-max game. It's a min-max game.
There's no puzzles to
How can
solve.
I-
There's nothing to fix. There's
Yeah.
nothing... What?
Right. How can I...
You're
how can-
mentioning
how-
min-max.
Well, I
We
don't
don't
mean...
min-max,
No.
so-
I don't mean...
No, that's if the entire game was.
Yeah,
full
if
of
the
NTs.
entire party is NTs, it's okay. Well, how can my character build benefit your character build?
I don't
Synergized
really
out.
see that. Personally, I don't... Yeah, personally, I wouldn't do that.
I've always been a utility, and I try
Yeah.
to actually min-max role-playing aspects.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're wrong, Don.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
NTs tend to be very independent in their thinking. They don't... I hate to say this, at least
Thanks, Jeremy.
in character builds, I would...